Dear respected Thai, dear Sangha, dear friends, first let me begin by asking if the translation system is working well for your language. If you don't hear clearly, please raise your hand so the sound team will know. Everything looks okay to me. Is it all right with you? Everything good? Fine. We have some sounds that want to join us, loud sounds. Unexpected sounds. So dear friends, good morning. Today is the 17th day of July, the year 2022, and we are in the Assembly of Stars Meditation Hall in the Lower Hamlet. This is a special day. We're opening our summer retreat that Thai loves so much. And it's a legendary moment to have this opportunity to be together, to practice together. Thai loved having the children come, the children of all ages, and we see them now. Children, teenagers, young adults, older adults, mummies, couples, single parents, aunties, uncles, cousins, grandmothers, grandfathers. We all came to this summer retreat, and we're here together today. This is the first Dharma Talk, and I'd like to welcome you to the country of the present moment that we have been called by a magazine journalist. And in the country of the present moment, our visa to stay longer is to practice mindful breathing and mindful walking. These practices you have already heard about during orientation and have been doing to some extent. I wonder if among you anyone has felt hot during the days since you arrived. Has anyone felt hot? Oh. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yes, we've had a heat wave here in southwest France. And this has brought me to be more aware of my body. The heat outside and also the heat inside of my body. So I have been practicing to be more aware of my body and to also be aware of so many elements that are around me that really support my body to cool down. So I've been practicing gratitude to the trees. And Upper Hamlet has the beautiful linden tree. We have heard that it's over 100 years old. And it continues to grow. And it offers a beautiful canopy, like an umbrella of shade. And I love to stand under it because it's like natural air conditioning. So those of you who are staying in Upper Hamlet, it may be a place where you can go and enjoy the cool shade on a hot summer day. In New Hamlet we have the mulberry trees. They spread out. So under the mulberry trees we can also sit and enjoy being together and having the cool shade. Here in Lower Hamlet, it's the oak trees, isn't it? Wonderful oak trees, so strong and solid, and they're standing tall in the hot summer sun, absorbing the heat and offering us the shade. So we have so many elements of life around us that are supporting us. Thai would love to say, breathing in, I know I am alive. And breathing out, I smile to life in me and around me. So many elements that are nourishing my peace and my happiness. So in being more aware of my body, I thought I would offer you some practices that the Buddha offered when he taught the 4 areas of establishing, creating our mindfulness. The Buddha started with the body. And in fact, we came to life coming out of mother's body, her womb. We entered life, and then our first action, so to speak, that gave us life was our breathing. So both the body and our breath sustain us now. So the Buddha said we can be aware of the 4 positions of our body. And we see that the 4 positions are standing, walking, sitting, and lying down. And if we look at young children, babies, they start with the lying down position, don't they? They lie down very easily, they sleep. And then the next position for babies is sitting. And then when baby stands up, that's a happy moment. And their first steps of walking brings much joy. So slowly as we develop our capacity to act with these 4 different body positions, as we develop these, then we're developing our mindfulness. So mindfulness is simply the energy of being aware. And with us, and according to what Thai has taught us, mindfulness is not a tool. It's not an instrument to do something or achieve something. It's connected with compassion. It's a way of life. With our mindfulness, we can be aware of how we are feeling, how our body feels, what's happening in our mind. We also can be aware of others. And if we see unhappiness, then our compassion arises so we can bring more peace and happiness to others with our practice of mindfulness and compassion. So we all want peace and happiness. And we can create peace and happiness in our body. So with the 4 positions of standing, walking, sitting, and lying down, we can be mindful. And you may want to reflect on each day, what positions is your body in now? We are sitting now. Yeah. As a novice, what I used to say to myself to help me be more mindful of my body positions, I did a very simple thing. When I was sitting down, I knew I was sitting, but when I stood up, I said to myself, standing up. Because I liked knowing that I could stand up. There's a saying, if you fall down, standing up is wonderful. So I said, I'm standing up. So we can choose any body position and say to ourselves, I'm walking now, or I'm standing in line. Now, the practice of awareness of body positions goes with awareness of our breathing. And the Buddha gave 4 basic breathing exercises that will help us develop mindfulness of our body. So that Buddha said, let's be first aware of our body, and these 4 breathing exercises will help us calm our body, relax our body, calm our mind, and relax our mind. So with this awareness of our body, now we're going to add awareness of breathing and the 4 breathing exercises. I'd like to speak about the first one. It's called identifying our breath. What do we do when we identify our breath? Just think for a minute. Can you identify your breath? When I identify my breath, I know it's there, okay? I am aware of my body, my lungs expanding, contracting when I breathe out. So I identify my breath by the in and out movements of my lungs, even my tummy. When I breathe in and out, my tummy rises. When I breathe in, when I breathe out, my tummy descends. So you can see on the board, when we know we are breathing in, we're aware of the body movement or the air entering our nostrils, the coolness of the air, or the air is warm and then is warmer when I breathe out. My body offers the body temperature to the air. Identifying our breath is the first thing we can practice when we do sitting meditation, anytime. So anytime you sit down is an opportunity to practice breathing in and breathing out. During the retreat, when we sit down to enjoy the meal together, we sit and we wait for others, yes? Okay, I breathe in and I breathe out. And this is an opportunity to develop my mindfulness, energy, and concentration. Another breathing exercise that helps us immensely is that I follow my breath. What does following the breath mean to you? Those of you who have seen Thai give a Dharma talk and describe following the breath, I'd like to do that now and show you how Thai would illustrate following the breath. Imagine this marker is my breath, the length of the breath, okay? From when it begins as the in-breath, and then when it ends as an in-breath, and then it becomes the beginning of the out-breath, and then it ends as the out-breath, and then it continues as an in-breath and as an out-breath. And my finger will be following the breath, okay? My mind is paying attention to my experience of breathing with my body, okay? I'm following my breath in and out. This is my mind following the breath. We know our mind likes to travel. Oh, I think about all kinds of things. I'm here, but maybe my mind is somewhere else. It may be where I'm going to go next. It may be back home. Did I lock the door? I mean, we have these questions, but this is what it looks like when the mind begins to travel and it doesn't follow the breath. In, oh, the future. I've gone to my next country or wherever. But we bring our mind back. We bring our mind back to the breath whenever that happens during sitting. Okay, breathe out, in, out. The mind is going to travel again to the past. Oh my goodness. That happened in the past and I'm still thinking about it. Oh. Bring our mind back to the present moment and follow the breath, okay? In and out. The mind will stay with the breath as it's happening naturally. We can see on the board the steps are being written, the exercises. Follow the breath, and then we have two key words, deep, slow. So Thai has given us a short poem that we can use when sitting or when walking. In, out. I experience my in-breath and out-breath. I identify it. Follow my breath all the way through. And then I'll notice that I feel my breath has become deeper. Naturally, my breath has become slower. Naturally. Then I begin to feel more relaxed. And when I feel more relaxed, I feel more peace and happiness in my body. So the next breathing exercise, as we're aware of our body, is to simply breathe in and out and then be aware of your whole body. But we'll start just with a part of the body. And then you can slowly become more and more aware of other parts of the body. You can do this now. Be aware of your body and parts of your body. How does that feel? As we continue our breathing, we'll notice our body feels more calm and at ease. So this is the next part of our meditation poem that Thai has written for us. Deep, slow, calm ease. And we may notice that our mind is also feeling more calm and ease because the mind and the body are connected. There's no separation really. We continue to be aware of our body feeling calm and at ease. And there's one more breathing exercise that the Buddha created for being aware of our body, and that is relaxing our body. So I'm aware of my body with my in-breath, and then I'm relaxing my body with my out-breath. And because our mind and body are truly connected, as I relax my body, my mind relaxes, and I can smile and release. Release all the tensions. Smile, release. So I'd like to invite us now. Let us practice. You may choose which one you want to practice while we hear the sound of the bell. And actually you'll have enough time to practice all four. Okay? The 4 steps of awareness of your breath and your body are on the board. But please know this is not a course, you know. You're not at school. You don't have to look at the board. You can just breathe as you like. But if you want to practice the 4 kinds of breathing exercises the Buddha offered, you may try all 4. You may do all 4. Identify my breath. I experience my breath in and out. I follow my breath all the way through, from the beginning of the in-breath to the end of the in-breath. And then when the in-breath changes to out-breath, beginning of out-breath all the way to the end of the out-breath. And then I'm aware of my body with my breath, and then I'm relaxing my body with my breath. So please sit comfortably as you have time to practice these breathing exercises. It's called a pause, a pause that refreshes. So dear friends, you don't have to practice all 4. I want to share one way that these breathing exercises can be available to your children. If you are a teacher or if you have children, little children, even teenagers. So for young children who are sensitive and they get upset and they cry, one way we have found that helps them learn at an early age how to calm themselves, how to handle their strong emotions, is to invite them to sit down next to you. Let's sit down together. And you can say if you're mommy or daddy or, their friend or whatever is your relationship to the child. Let's sit down together. The child is crying. Let's sit down together and make waves on the ocean. Now what that means is we'll say, please put your hand on your belly, and when you breathe in, can you make a wave on the ocean rise up? Do you feel your belly rise? And when you breathe out, can you feel your belly go down? Of course, little waves. Can you feel just a little movement when you breathe in? A little movement when you breathe out. So you bring the child's attention to their body and help them learn that they can calm their body and their mind with breathing. It's called making waves on the ocean. Depends on the age of the child and whether they're willing to play a little game. You call it a little game. For teenagers and older people, we remember Thai taught to imagine you're a tree and there's a really strong wind, a storm, and there's winds of 80 kilometers an hour, which we've had here in the spring, and very strong winds and maybe rain. So Thai taught us that we should let go of our thinking about what's happening. For example, if we're caught in the storm of a strong emotion such as anger or even fear, we need to bring our mindfulness energy lower in our body. And Thai gave us the image of a tree. Don't stay at the level of the top of the tree where the leaves and the branches are swaying back and forth from the force of the wind, but bring your energy down to the trunk of the tree. The trunk of the tree is our breathing from our abdomen. Okay? So if we elder children or adolescents, young adults and grown-ups, if we experience a powerful, strong emotion, here we usually use the emotion of anger. And someone once said, "Don't you have any other emotions at Plum Village? Do you specialize in anger?" Oh, no, we have other emotions. We have joy and happiness. And you can even use the practice if you have joy and happiness. Oh, I feel joyful, I feel happy. But breathing from your abdomen, it is grounding. It gives us stability. It calms the mind because we're connected to the most stable part of our body, the abdominal muscles. You may also want to hold yourself. A sister told me that's what she does when she has a strong emotion of fear, for example. Fear is another strong emotion. So we can remember, bring our attention, breathe our breathing down to a part of our body, and it will support us. And we breathe until we feel better, okay? Until you feel more calm. It's very easy to feel fear and many other things that come up in our daily lives. I'd like to tell you a story that I told always in the summer retreat. It's about a man who thought he was a grain of corn. Does anyone remember that story? I want you to hear this story, and Tai told it so beautifully. I will tell you this story, and I am maybe going to use language that is more comfortable for me, basically. I can't tell it like Tai, but I will tell you this story. So maybe we'll hear another sound of the bell before we learn about the man who thought he was a grain of corn. Let us choose a breathing exercise that you like a lot and just practice it. So, once upon a time, as stories begin, maybe at the turn of the century, in a little village, we don't know what country, a man lived in the country with his wife and children, and they began to notice, oh, Daddy's doing funny things. Whenever he sees a chicken, he runs away. Well, in their little village, there were lots of chickens. And they said, Mom, Dad's acting kind of strange. Whenever Daddy sees a chicken, he runs away. Have you noticed that, Mom? Yeah. So the wife really didn't know how to talk to her husband about this. You know, she really didn't have the words. So she went to the country doctor and she explained what was happening. And she said, can you help? The doctor thought, and he said, yes, I'm sure we can help. Have him come to we have a little house for healing, like a little clinic or something like that. And he can stay with us and we'll give him a treatment, yeah. So the good man was willing to go and stay with the doctor and his small staff. And they created a treatment program for him. Now, the treatment program was that in order to change his perception of himself, he was asked to write down, I am a man, I am not a grain of corn. And he had to write this 100 times, 3 times a day. No. So that was one way of changing perceptions in those days. And the man did it, yeah. And he was interviewed by the doctor and staff, or he had time with the doctor periodically, and they saw he was making progress. And every time they asked him, who are you? He answered correctly. He said, I am a man. I am not a grain of corn. Well, that was good. He was responding to the treatment, yes. So, doctor called the wife and said, your husband is well. You may come and pick him up. So the wife came with the children, and they were so happy. Daddy's coming home. Amen. Daddy's coming home. So he was happy to see his wife and children. So he's walking out of the hospital, we'll say. And just as he's walking out, a chicken crosses his path. And he ran away. And the wife and the children sat down. So the doctor said to his staff, oh, please bring him to my office. Yeah. So the good man was willing to go, and the doctor said, oh, please come in and sit down. I'd like to ask you, why did you run away when you saw the chicken? And the man answered, good doctor, I know I am a man. I know I am not a grain of corn. But does the chicken know it? Yeah. Yeah, we love Thai stories during the summer retreat. And now I have to bring some Dharma into this situation. I have to explain it in terms of Dharma. Thai didn't have to, but I guess I have to. So I think we have misperceptions of ourself and misperceptions of others, yeah? And we saw this clearly in the story, yeah. We can ask ourselves, who am I? What do I want? Yeah. And we know that everything is always changing. Yeah. Our body is always changing. And it's a miracle that even within the changing within our body, the cells are being born, created, the cells are dissolving. Even with the impermanence in the body, there's still continuity. There's still harmony within the body. So I'm talking about the body now just for a minute, that all the parts of the body, the organs inside, they cooperate, they work in harmony. The liver doesn't shout at the brain, or the kidneys don't get angry at the spleen. There's enough harmony to keep us healthy. So within impermanence and change, there is still continuity for life to continue. So with our mind, it's this almost the same thing. We have thoughts continually, and the thoughts keep changing. And we have feelings, and the feelings keep changing. And this reminds me of one of the very short gathas that I wrote. Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. But mindful breathing is my anchor. So with changing in the body and changing in our feelings and our thoughts coming and going, there's no doubt we can have misperceptions. So with misperceptions, how can we know if we have misperception? I think that's important. One of the things that we remember Thai taught us is that he gave us a mantra. He asked us to say, am I sure? If I have a perception about someone or about myself, I should ask myself the question, am I sure? And then usually I say to myself, I'm not sure. So then Thai would say, check again. And he said this, and he made reference to doctors who ordered blood tests, and then maybe the result comes back cancer. Oh, so Thai recommended the doctor, check again before giving a diagnosis. Check again and again. Here we have our Sangha. We have the people we live with. And we can ask them, what is your perception about the situation, about the person? How do you see me? How do you see our relationship? So we can always check if we're not sure. And it's good to not always be so absolutely sure and convinced of our view. Another mantra Thai gave us is that we say to ourselves, or we say to someone, you are partly correct. Again, so that leaves some space. If the person isn't seeing things the way you see them, you can say, yes, I see that you are partly correct. And we can use this as a way of being with situations where there are different viewpoints, different perceptions. So why don't we take a pause now, and you may want to reflect on partly correct, or are you sure? Or simply be with your breathing, no thinking. And this is the best practice, to calm the mind. Don't think of anything, because we know while walking, we don't think. We're just with each footstep. So let's just choose how you want to have this pause of breathing. So, dear friends, I'd like to continue a little bit more with the topic of having strong emotions and how to practice with them. You know, with our mindfulness, we can be aware that we're having something unpleasant, and our body may be the first sign of, of a strong emotion. So it's good to, during your time this week, to see if you can locate the place in your body where a strong emotion begins. So for me, it usually begins in my hands. They become cold. So that's the fight or flight response, or freeze. Fight, flight, or freeze. But I recognize it, then it's a strong emotion happening. And then I begin to embrace it. I recognize it, and I embrace it, and I admit it. A strong emotion is coming up right now. And I accept a strong emotion. I don't try to deny it, or say, or ignore it. No, it's really there. There's a change in my body. My body doesn't feel peaceful and happy as before. So once I admit, and I'm not repressing a change in my mind and body, then it's time to begin a practice. And I don't wait. Find somewhere to go, if possible, where you can sit down and breathe in and out. Or for some people, that's not the best thing to do with a strong emotion. See if you can walk somewhere, or do some body movements, or hug a tree. The important thing is to do something with what's happening, okay? So we recommend practicing, and there are different practices available. You may want to lie down, take a nap, or do yoga, jogging, depending on what's coming up for you. And you may even want to share this in a sharing circle. How do we practice with our strong emotions? And when we do a practice, and with breathing or walking without thinking, the mind is concentrating. It's only being with the practice of breathing or walking, and with the concentration, we will begin to understand. So begin to understand the situation, understand myself, why I reacted, why I ran away. Begin to understand more. With the understanding, transformation has started. It's a process. So we don't expect it all to happen all at once. It's not like instant coffee. Pour the water in, add the practice, stir, transformed. I have discovered it's not like that, but we begin, and we have patience. So this is some practices to do with strong emotions. Patience is important. And acceptance. I'd like to tell you another story that it's something I experienced when I was a novice. So it was around lunchtime. I had just started my practice. I was very new at it. And I wanted to do it correctly, Don't make any mistakes. So, we all know that whenever we hear a bell, we stop and we breathe, right? This is our practice of coming back to the present moment. And Thai was so skillful in giving us these wonderful, simple practices to develop our mindfulness, live in the present moment, and develop concentration and understanding. Okay, I'm a novice, and it was about lunchtime, and I was helping the cooking team. in those days, we didn't have teams. There was one sister who cooked, and then a novice who helped. Maybe two sisters, okay, yeah. So anyway, I was helping, and the elder sister who just finished cooking the soup, she said, Sister Tu Nghiem, can you just bring the soup and put it on the table? I said, sure. So I lift up the pot of soup, and in Lower Hamlet in those days, the kitchen was different, but there was a little step, you walk down, and then I walked down, yeah, I'm holding the pot of soup, the table's over there, or maybe, yeah, the table was over there, and then I heard the clock chime. The clock was up there, and it chimed 12 noon, 12 times, holding the pot. And I had to hold the pot of soup because I thought, can I put it on the floor? No, it's cement and it's cold, and there was no top to the pot of soup. The table was too far, and you know, when you hear the clock chiming, you can't walk. They're holding the pot of soup. And there was nothing on the table to put the hot pot of soup. No ceramic tile, nothing. I'm holding the pot of soup. I can't go forward, I can't go backward. I just stand there holding a little bit heavy pot of soup. Then I began to feel impatient. The clock is chiming too slowly. I had just come from a fast life, living in the fast lane, and now I have to stop and breathe when the clock is chiming 12 times, and it's too slow. The clock is too slow. So this is how I was thinking, and I got irritated with the clock. But finally, okay, 12. And then the sister appears and she puts something on the table. So I walk over and I put the pot of soup on the table. But this was an experience when I felt impatient and I got irritated at a clock. But it was only a clock. And you know, it wasn't chiming too slowly. It was only being a clock, chiming at its regular rhythm. It was just my mind, my perception, my misperception, because I had the feeling of, well, many things going on, yeah. I didn't want to drop the pot of soup. So that was my experience as a novice, recognizing impatience in me and irritation coming up, and blaming the clock. But the clock was innocent. But now I look back and I wonder, am I still holding a pot of soup in my heart against anyone? Do you know what I mean? Have I not put down the pot of soup? Have I not forgiven? Have I not let go of anything, you know? So I just reflect on that after many years. I'm holding a pot of soup maybe in my heart. And I keep this person in the pot of soup. So all we have to do, well, that's not kind, no. I don't put anyone in a pot of soup, but it... Thank you for your expression. I saw it, but thank you. Anyway, but you know, I mean, I just realized I have to put down that pot of soup if I'm holding any grudge or resentment, and just forgive, because it's all about a situation. Whether it's a clock or how we were at the time, both of us, we didn't know enough, or the situation with, you know, many situations and not knowing enough. So that was my experience of being impatient with a strong emotion. So why don't we have another pause And we'll enjoy our breathing. However it is, we accept it. So, dear friends, I'd like to introduce another teaching that I offered that is very helpful as we're aware of our body and our feelings and how they arise. And this is called the 4 nutriments. And I'll just mention all 4, but we won't talk about all 4 today. The first one is edible food. And my sister, who is Sister Wholesome, Lotus Pond, moon over the lotus pond, she'll write down these 4 nutriments, and then I'll be able to talk about the first one, edible food, which is something that can help us, especially as we're living in a heat wave now and we want to take care of our body. So it's the edible food that we eat and we drink. I mean, it includes what we drink, the beverages. And what I practice in very hot weather is I don't eat the food that has been fried or has a lot of oil, because when the food has been cooked at a high temperature, I've learned that the food keeps the heat. You know, it's been cooked at a high temperature, and then when I eat it, it gives heat to my body. So personally, this is how I'm practicing now, not to eat the fried food or a lot of oil. And I prefer food that is cooler in nature, like fresh vegetables or fruit in the morning. And then I drink enough water, a lot of water, to cool down the body. Yeah, so this is, with edible food, we can be aware of taking good care of our body and not, at least with a heat wave, not adding more heat to the body. And we want to eat with compassion. So edible food that doesn't involve any animal suffering while being killed just so I can eat it. So we eat with compassion. And this week we're all eating with compassion because we're eating vegan. We're not eating any animal that has been killed, or fish, or any living being that has been killed. Of course, the vegetables are taken out of the garden, but maybe the suffering of the lettuce is not as deep as the suffering of a cow in the slaughterhouse. So we eat with compassion. The second one is called sense impressions. And so this is that we want to nourish our mind with what will bring us happiness and peace. And the way we do that is through what we see and what we hear, and using our sense organs. And for this, I like to let my eyes and my ears and etc., be in contact with very wholesome images, very wholesome elements. So Thai has written some wonderful ways we can do this. In nourishing our happiness, we can say, my eyes look peacefully on the clear blue sky. So I look up at the sky at night or first thing in the morning. My ears listen to the wonderful sounds of the birds first thing in the morning and at night. I hear the birds singing. My nose smells the fragrance of the lotus blooming in all the hamlets of the flowers, or the fragrance of the meal that is being prepared. These are very wholesome sensory impressions. My tongue tastes the sweetness of the fruit that is available for us. And my body is relaxed. So I give myself permission to lie down on the grass and feel Mother Earth supporting me. My body also feels the cool morning air on my face. So I really enjoy getting up a little bit earlier in the morning, if possible, when life is brand new. And there's a little poem we say, waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live them mindfully and look on all beings with eyes of compassion. So mindfulness and compassion go together. They're good friends. So using our sense impressions to nourish wholesomeness is something that we can all do here and even when you go home. The other one is called Volition. I won't say too much about that, but when we make a vow, I vow to live mindfully, and we will have other opportunities to learn more about vows and the 5 mindfulness trainings as promises. And you can ask your children, what vows did you learn about? They will receive 2 promises. Okay? I vow to develop my understanding in order to live peacefully with people, animals, plants, and minerals. And I vow to develop my compassion in order to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. And the last one is consciousness, and that is simply the deepest level of our mind. And it contains so many things, so many emotions and ideas and thoughts, and we want to nourish our mind with thinking beautiful thoughts and to nourish ourselves in terms of speaking, thinking about others, our perceptions of others. So it concerns a lot about self-talk and also the environment we're in. One of the ways we can really nourish our consciousness with love and to nourish the peace and happiness that we all want and want others to have is to do the metta practice. So I will offer just very briefly something we can say to ourselves. We offer ourselves this energy of metta, which the Buddha offered, and Thai wrote a love meditation. And the first sentence is, may I be happy, peaceful. May I be happy and peaceful and light in my body and mind. And then we can think of someone, as we did during the chant Avalokita, someone else. We want to offer this metta love, this universal love to someone else. And then we offer this universal metta love to a wider group or a situation. And we say, may they be happy and peaceful. May the world be happy and peaceful. So there are other parts to the metta meditation, but starting with one sentence every day is very helpful. At the moment that you're thinking of this love for yourself, already your consciousness is full of love. It cannot think of anything else. Okay? There won't be any criticism of any other person. May you be happy and peaceful. So we're nourishing our consciousness with metta. And we know that, as we heard this morning from Brother Phap Ung, there are three areas in the world right now that we can send our metta love to and offer our peace and our love to ourselves, to those around us, to the world. So in summary, dear friends, we know that we can practice awareness of our body at any time. The 4 positions, standing, walking, sitting, lying down. And we have the 4 breathing exercises to support this awareness and mindful practice. I'm aware of my in-breath and out-breath. I can follow my in-breath and out-breath for more calm. I can feel my body relaxing, calm, ease, and then I can smile as I relax. So we have awareness of body, the 4 breathing exercises, and then we know that when we have emotions come up, whether fear or anger, and we have some kind of perception, we can ask ourselves, am I sure? Or we can say, I'm partly right, or he's partly right, she's partly right, they're partly right. But let's check again by asking other people their perceptions, the Sangha. And then we have the practice of metta, offering our love. So I think we can enjoy some moments of just letting go, relaxing and breathing as we hear 3 sounds of the bell that will end the sharing this morning. We want to thank all of you deeply for coming, for listening. And I really want to thank our sisters and our friends at New Hamlet who offered their ideas for this talk and their support. It's been made of the non-me elements, I assure you. Thai's presence as well and his teachings were part of this. So thank you very much, dear friends.